Hello, it's Jim Clune again, and I want to do a quick follow-up to the last video that I did. In that one I was talking about what botnets meant to home computer users, and I was recommending that one response to botnets, and again they're on the Wikipedia, the B-O-T-N-E-T, check it out. One response to botnets for home computer users was to accept the fact that any general purpose computer would be hacked, and that the best thing to do is confine all your critical typing, your credit cards and such, to a dedicated small computer that's only used for such a purpose. Here's an example of that kind of a computer. This is a $200 computer, fully functional, on wireless, running Windows 7. It's in this case it's a e-machine netbook. These kinds of things, these small computers are available all over the place. You don't even have to buy a dedicated computer. If you have an old computer around the house that you're willing to use strictly for this purpose, reinstall the operating system and use it only for this critical typing, the same can be done. The discipline is just to use it for the critical typing and nothing else. There is an alternative that my friends have mentioned and I've read about and I certainly have done, but I didn't think to introduce in this forum, but I'm going to. And that's the idea of not buying a computer, but using the installation CD that comes with many versions of the Linux operating system. In all those installation CDs, when you do the work, you put the CD in, you fire it up, the CD is read, and normally, of course, you go right into installation, but you don't have to. There are options to allow you to simply run totally off the CD, never touching the hard drive of the computer. The computer might be infected. We're not going to use the computer because we're not going to use the hard drive. You can boot from one of these CDs. Here's an example of one. Let's see if we can get that in there. Yeah, ubuntu.com. You can go there and download this CD directly from ubuntu.com for free. And you'll have, after it boots, running not on your disk drive but in memory, a completely functional, really beautiful operating system on which you can do anything you want. If you couple an environment like that, an operating system not using the hard drive at all but running entirely in memory and that's recreated every time you boot, if you couple that kind of environment with a USB stick that's only used when you've booted into your secure environment, whether it's the netbook itself, cheap computer, or boot up from that CD and have a dedicated virtual computer that's running in memory, you can then slot your USB stick into either computer. It has only your sensitive information on it, nothing else, and from this booted CD image you can now do all your banking. Save all your information back on the USB stick. When you're done, shut everything down, pull the USB stick out. Now everything's here. You've never used the hard drive or any of the other materials on the infected computer. You're basically isolated once again. You've isolated your critical keystrokes from being read by the operating system, the malware that might be on the infected computer. This is important. This device should only be used in a secure way, either with a dedicated computer or with the booted environment that I talked about off of CD. If you start using this USB stick for other computers to move photos and things like that back and forth, it will become infected and the game is lost. So just as important as confining your critical keystrokes to a dedicated environment, cheap computer, booted image, this has to be confined as well to just usage on one of those two environments and nothing else. If you do that, again, you've kept yourself away from the kind of blundering that we will all engage in eventually and get a computer hacked, and likely be able to stay off a botnet, likely be able to protect your sensitive information and not fall victim to the kind of internet crime that is so prevalent. Well, that's it. That's the end of my little talk for home users now. In the next video I'm going to do, I want to talk about what botnets mean for organizations, and particularly those that allow their employees to take laptop computers back and forth from home and work. Talk to you in a bit.